Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video to tell you to pour yourself a cup of tea or do something else equally British like, I don't know, vote yourself out of Europe, 'cause core blimey Mary Poppins, it's only Captain Britain, innit? He being the first of this wave's two energized emissaries. I know they're running out of titles to loosely connect two characters in the way they often do, aren't they? The other energized emissaries, try saying that while you're drunk, which I am, so commend me, is Wonder Man as pictured on one side of the packaging, then on the reverse side is our Captain Britain, arms folded, keeping calm and carrying on. Then the packaging back pictures our energized like I said, drunk. Also pictured is the Abomination Build-A-Figure of this wave and the action figures you will need to collect to build said Abomination as Scarlet Witch, Secret War Captain America, Captain Britain as we have here, Eel, Wonder Man and Iron Skull. And the briefest of bios, which in having to refer to both Captain Britain and Wonder Man does them both a bit of a disservice by not really saying much about either of them, but it says heroes from around the globe team up to vanquish evil wherever they find it. Well, it's lucky you have me to fill you in, isn't it? Captain Britain first appeared in Captain Britain Weekly #1 back in October 1976, a title that was only published in the United Kingdom by Marvel UK, the British imprint of Marvel Comics. Some years later, he and his twin sister were incorporated into the main Marvel universe, she being Psylocke, who would join the X-Men. The character being creatively at his best under the writing of Alan Moore and the pencils of Alan Davis, who in 1981 was responsible for the character's redesign, which is how Toy Biz represented him in 2006's Marvel Legends Giant Man BAF wave, which is pretty wee in comparison, and I've not cast my eyes on it in an age, but wow, now I have, it's not as good as I remember it being. However, a testament to just how classic that design is that all these years later his modern costume, which is how Hasbro have interpreted him, doesn't steer too far from it, and so the Union Jack forms its basis. It's certainly visually dynamic and the metallic blue paint is especially lush. For a flag that's 200 plus years old, its incorporation into this costume has something timeless about it and refreshingly modern looking, so the addition of the belt and the high boots and their prominent brass coloured buckles mixes in an old world sentiment. There you go, Carnage Jack, Captain Britain being for the most part on the larger Hyperion body mould. The character is significantly superhumanly strong, so the height and bulk suits that. By design, Captain Britain was intended to be a British version of Captain America, yet unlike say Red Guardian, who is Russia's equivalent and feeds into Captain America's lore, Captain Britain is much more of an aside in that his origin is less real-world based and more rooted in the mysticism of wizards and ancient magical amulets and all that. Taking a closer look, and I like the head sculpt, the whited out eyes recessed into the sculpt add an air of mystery, however the black paint surrounding them doesn't quite reach into all the recesses, but an element of deco that's completed with a bit more finesse of the lions which adorn his shoulders, lions long being a symbol of Britain. Now looking at articulation, and the head rotates side to side, he's able to bury his chin into his chest and then he's able to look up this much. At the shoulder his arms rotate and they move up to slightly more than a right angle to the body. There's upper arm rotation followed by a double jointed elbow. Then at the wrists his hands rotate and they hinge, moving down a little bit and then also up. His belt there, which is a separate vinyl piece, is hiding the waist rotation. Then in addition to that he has an ab crunch which crunches this far forward and then this far back. At the hips his legs move out to the side this far, then they move this far forward and they move less far back. There's upper leg rotation followed by a double jointed knee, then he has rotation at the top of the boots there, and then at the ankles they are hinged, however that bottom buckle I find blocks the hinge forward. So with the feet articulated to the furthest point forward, I do find he is prone to toppling back, and he has that ankle rocker pivot that I love, with this being his widest stance possible, still with both feet flat on the floor. Releasing so close to the X-Men Legends, it feels this Abomination BAF wave is a bit in the shadow of the mutants, in that we've suffered a bit of a drought of the X-Men in figure form for a few years now, while we've had enough Cap waves that they could link up Hands Across America style. Yet arguably, Captain Britain would be better at home in an X-Men wave, what with being not only brother of Psylocke, yet also a linchpin of Excalibur, a British-based offshoot of the X-Men. And to answer Ultra Maximus's question of completing an Excalibur lineup, well, original team would be missing Megan, then while Rachel Summers and Shadowcat have had figures, but not in these costumes. But as this is Captain Britain as he appears in the new Excalibur comic from 2005, you're talking that lineup, I assume. Which, Juggernaut aside, we're even further away from completing. Dazzler coming next year, but not in this costume. And as for Sage, Pete Wisdom and Nocturne, I wouldn't hold your breath. And here's a curious question, yet it's curious enough that I'm going to indulge you. There you go. So all things considered, I'm pleased that Captain Britain has been given a second go around in Legends, and equally pleased with the results. Anyway, if you missed my look at the X-Men Juggernaut BAF Wave Havoc, then click the video on the left to catch up. Alternatively, stay tuned as Captain Britain's fellow energized emissary. There, see, I said it, I've sobered up now. Anyway, Wonder Man will be up next, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.